The Brave and the Bold, number 122, came out in the mid-70s. This is the team-up of Batman and the Swamp Thing comic book review. So, the two characters of Batman and Swamp Thing once teamed up before, a short time before this, in 1973, in Swamp Thing's volume number 1, issue number 7, where Swamp Thing is tracking down the Conclave organization in Gotham City, and Batman is also tracking the head of them. That's where they first meet. That has nothing to do with this issue, though. So, this issue starts off the opening. Swamp Thing has been captured and he's on display as a sideshow freak attraction in the middle of Gotham, and of course Batman's pissed about this because he knows that Swamp Thing is good-hearted, but the Gotham City citizens see him as more of a menace monster. And the guy running the attraction, he's like, "Oh, I'm sick of showing off tattooed women and shrunken heads. I need something more strange." That's his reasoning to Batman. So then what happens after this, we get a flashback of, they remind you of Swamp Thing's origins, of how he was creating the biochemicals in the bayou, and then his laboratory was destroyed by the Conclave, and he obviously, the mixture of the bog and swamp sediments and his own experiments caused him to be the monster, to become the Swamp Thing and no longer man. So that's a dope flashback that they show in this. So then, let's get to the story of what happens in this. Alright, so like I was saying, he's captured, he's on display, and then out of nowhere, this airplane who's carrying experimental biospores over the Gotham reservoir water system crashes in this huge storm, and that ends up spilling the experiment into the water supply. And what happens is all these vines end up taking over Gotham City, these huge ass vines, and it causes, then so what happens is a bunch of chaos of all the Gotham City, all the Gotham citizens running around, and Batman saving babies filler until he unfrees Swamp Thing, because he knows that he could help him, because all he has to do is uproot the king vine, and it'll take out all the other vines, and he needs Swamp Thing's strength. So he teams up, he frees Swamp Thing to help him, and of course Swamp Thing saves the day. And that pretty much sums up this issue. It's pretty cliche story. The vehicles you get to see, you do get to see the Whirly Bat, classic, the one-man helicopter of Batman and Robin. The locations include Gotham City, police headquarters, Washington D.C. government building, private airfield owned by the government, and Louisiana Swamp Thing flashbacks. So obviously after Swamp Thing saves the day, he returns Swamp Thing to the bayou in Louisiana, and that's pretty much it. The villain is a huge vine. It's pretty terrible. Swamp Thing number 7 is way much of a better story, but I am still really impressed with the writer of The Brave and the Bold. These stories usually get a good story with a good twist ending. This just wasn't one of them. But that's pretty much all my thoughts on this. I'll give it a C overall grading. This was JBM from Mr. Creepshow 9. Click on the channel. I'll be doing a ton of comic book reviews coming up that I'll be uploading. So stay tuned for more. You could hate me now. I'm out. Go read a comic.